Away we go with the first pick. It'll be Cap and Keller, and we'll have a little fun tonight. McCaffrey off the board. Easy enough. Easy enough. Lots of PPR mock drafts still coming your way on this channel. Hit like on this stream if you are hoping to have some practice to be ready for your fantasy draft, as that could be coming up any day now, honestly. This weekend will be a big league drafting period, and then I'm sure the following weekend, Labor Day weekend, will be as well. And I don't know how many drafts we'll be doing over the weekend as far as videos, but certainly as many times as we can throughout the week, we'll be doing some live streams. And, hey, tonight, if we end up getting enough interest, it's always a slow burn at the beginning of these mock drafts. But if we end up getting enough interest, we will do a second mock draft on this very same stream for some people who have not gotten a chance. What I would say is right now, as Bijan Robinson, we see go number 3. So that's a little bit of a twist compared to what we normally see. Right now, if you are not in this mock draft, but you want to be in the next one, go to the video description. You'll find my Twitter handle there. Send me a DM. I will respond to those DMs first. And if we get enough of them, we'll be able to run a second mock draft. My pick is up at 1.8. Bijan Robinson went all the way back at the 3rd pick. I have him and Breece Hall basically even Steven as far as how much I like either running back. I think I lean Bijan by a nose, but it's close. But it was pretty chalky. The wide receivers go in any order, 4 through 7. I'm going to take Breece Hall. I'm not going to do anything extra creative here from the 8. I do think there is a tier break after the 8th pick. No disrespect intended to A.J. Brown, but I think that's the start of a new tier at number 9. And A.J. Brown is probably maybe a tier of his own. It feels like there aren't many people who are going to be taking Garrett Wilson or another receiver above A.J. Brown. So A.J. Brown goes at 9. We see Derrick Henry go at 11. A little bit early for Derrick Henry to go, but, you know, I think I could see it. I could see Derrick Henry finishing as a top 5 running back this season. Maybe not for PPR, though. But at the same time, like, if somebody is concerned about Jahmyr Gibbs in terms of his workload, I could understand going Henry over Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm probably taking more Derrick Henry than I am Jonathan Taylor, but it's more because I can usually get Derrick Henry later on in the second. Taylor goes 12th overall to wrap up the first round. That's kind of a new thing that we see here. Jonathan Taylor going in the first round. More running backs in the first round this time than we normally see. We'll see what that means for the second round. Travis Kelce, first tight end off the board at 2.2. And then Kyron Williams goes. So, hey, I've got a little bit of time here to think about my pick. And I've got a couple of names that I'm hoping could drop to me. And inevitably, one of them will, right? All right, we're here at the 2.5. We could go a number of ways with this. What my thought process right now is, knowing that there's usually wide receivers I like later on, I'm not totally opposed this year to going back-to-back running backs. I would have probably taken Jahmyr Gibbs without even having to talk my way through it. I have him above Saquon Barkley, not by a ton, but by enough. But I'm also tempted here by the Puka Nacua potential. So those are kind of the two guys that I'm thinking about, Saquon and Puka Nacua. And I could really go either which way with it. But I am going to go ahead and double up on running back because it's not something I normally have the chance to do. And for me, if I were just ranking it strictly, McCaffrey, Bijan, Breece Hall, Saquon might be right up there, right behind Gibbs. I think I'd still have Gibbs number 4, but Saquon might be number 5 for me. So to get him this late in the round, I feel pretty good about. Colton ends up with a great pick in Puka to stack with Jamar Chase, so he's got 2 elite wide receivers. It is PPR. That's the one thing that, you know, I leave a little bit maybe on the table. If the elite wide receivers are going now and I end up more kind of catered toward the running back position, where could that leave me, especially as I get into the mid-rounds? I'm going to want to eventually dip my toe into the tight end waters, into the quarterback waters. It's going to be a little bit more difficult now because I do like to make sure in PPR I've got plenty of wide receivers. But we'll see. It's fun to challenge yourself sometimes in a mock draft, and I normally don't think Barkley quite gets to the 2.5, so that it happens here, I'm kind of excited to see where it goes. We're seeing a run on running backs, no pun intended, late in the second round, broken up by Sam Laporta. So Kelce goes way earlier than we normally would expect to see, and as a result, does that compel a later round drafter in the second to say, I want to make sure I get one of the top 2 tight ends and grab Sam Laporta? We'll see what the McCaffrey drafter does here, as they'll have consecutive picks on the turn. I like to take stock, though, after 2 rounds of kind of what teams are really standing out to me. We've got a handful of teams that went with, a 1 RB1 wide receiver start, which is pretty standard. I like what Ryan did with Lamb and Achane coming back. Achane feels like a potential slam dunk value that late in the second round. We have another RB wide receiver combo with Caleb, but he's going to go ahead and pick a third player here in a moment. McCaffrey and Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Pacheco, Jefferson, Etienne, A.J. Brown, Gibbs, Garrett Wilson, Kyron Williams. And then on the end, we have JT and Marvin. I think the Achane Lamb combo is my favorite of those combos, but at the same time, it's the easiest to say because he's the only guy that had a chance at Lamb, right? Drafted him second. But to get Achane, like I would take Achane above Pacheco and Etienne. And maybe above Kyron Williams. I like Achane quite a bit this year. Here comes the run on wide receivers. It's going to make me regret a little bit the way I started things out, but that's okay. There's going to be some value. I'm not too worried about it. We're getting close to that tier of wide receivers that I'm really a big fan of, and even if the next 2 picks go off the board are receivers I was hoping to have, my list is a lot longer than that, so I'm going to be okay. I do anticipate taking a receiver here. You could look at Trey McBride this stage of the third round, but it's probably not the direction I'll be going. Sometimes, though, it is fun if you think you are going to be in a spot to be able to target Kyler Murray late. And by late, I mean round 6, 7, or 8. It could be kind of fun to think ahead on that and draft the other side of the stack. Malik Neighbors, man, going earlier and earlier. I don't think I was going to take Neighbors with this pick, but I've been known to do it at this stage of the third round. At this point, though, I'm kind of looking at a couple of things. I wish we could get some clarity about Ayuk. I think today on August 19th, I can't draft Ayuk as the top of this wide receiver board, but would I feel differently if he has a resolution to his contract? I probably would. We are late third round here pretty soon, and we still have not seen a quarterback taken. And if I had a split right now that was RB wide receiver, I think I'd be more willing to take one. But I do feel with the 2 flex spots that we start in our lineup, I'm going to really regret it if I don't pick up a wide receiver here. And there's a bunch of names that I like. Not usually trending toward Diggs, but DJ Moore, Pittman, Metcalf, Devontae Smith, all those guys are in play for me here. We'll take our shot with DJ Moore. Grab DJ Moore. I think the ranking for me in that Bears offense, I like DJ Moore the best. I'm taking Rome Odunze over Keenan Allen at this point. I just have found myself not really too intrigued by Keenan Allen with the age. Sometimes you change teams. Like I think Keenan Allen and Stephon Diggs are in similar scenarios. You change teams at the late stage of your career, and you're in a wide receiver room that has 3 really good options. I might be counting out the guy who's the elder statesman in both cases. Doesn't mean it's right, but that's kind of the way I think going into these drafts. So I'll take DJ Moore. It does probably take me out of play for Rome Odunze later on, which could be something that I end up regretting. But it's the way that I went here. There's still some names that I like coming back at the 4.5, and so we'll see in terms of positional flexibility what opportunities could come my way. We do see Mahomes taken, and it feels like Wartburg Girl was looking maybe for that Chiefs stack and ends up getting it with Kelsey Mahomes. And look, I mean, that's something you can do. You can make that happen. I think it's a little early where it was taken, but I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with having the stack. We're getting some chat talking about Neighbors in the mid to late third is fine. He is the same as Harrison. I don't have an issue with where Neighbors was taken one bit. Just because some guys are listed lower on the list does not mean that they'll be available where you think they should be available when your league actually drafts. Just for the record. We're seeing that obviously in a couple of different ways tonight. Back here at the 4.5, Mahomes and Hurts go first. I'm staring Josh Allen in the face there in the middle of the 4th round, and it feels like incredible value. If I let him go, one of the teams behind me is going to get him, and it's going to be a great pick. That being said, I think I might have more needs at this point. Josh Allen is a luxury that maybe I don't feel I can afford by starting RB. If I had started Breece Hall, Puka, Breece Hall, Drake London, and then was able to grab a DJ Moore or a Devontae Smith or a Metcalf, I might feel a lot better about going the quarterback route here. I just don't know if I can do it. And I could also go McBride. I mean, he's available here too. Instead, we're just going to stick to the plan, add another wide receiver. We'll go Michael Pittman. Tank Dell was a temptation for me there, but I think Pittman, if I'm comparing Tank Dell and Pittman, and look, TP99, Josh Allen's a great pick. And TP's got one of my favorite starts right now, but we'll see if he ends up with getting the running backs that I would like to follow up with if I went wide receiver, QB. But Amon-Ra, Drake London, and Neighbors is a great start. And he's got the best quarterback to me in fantasy in Josh Allen. So I just couldn't quite stomach it. But when I think about Pittman, I think he's more clearly the number one in Indianapolis. A.D. Mitchell is a rookie. I think he's got upside for sure, but he's not on that level. We're trusting a lot, though, in Anthony Richardson to be able to kind of materialize the value for Pittman. But I think he will. I think that's going to be fine. So I don't mind that at all. Hey, guys, if you're watching this stream, looks like we got 25 viewers live. Hit the subscribe button on this channel. I am so close, I can taste it, to 1,000 subscribers and being able to join as a full-fledged YouTube partner. I'm looking to do it within the next couple of days. So would love to see y'all that are watching right now be subscribers. Would really appreciate it. I'm looking at the YouTube chat. Griffin says, why is Nakua falling so far? And it makes him cringe to see Drake London go so early. I think I might have Drake London ranked right along Puka Nakua myself. If Puka were healthy, I would have him as a back end of the first round guy. But to answer the question, Puka Nakua is not presently healthy. He is dealing with an injury. And he was labeled as week to week, but that was a week or two ago. Drake London, though, Kirk Cousins is in there now with Atlanta, and that could be a completely game changer for Drake London as well as for Kyle Pitts. People are going to fall on different sides of the fence for those situations, but I could see the appeal of the Atlanta pass catchers, both London and Pitts. I think Drake London went where he should have gone, to be honest with you. I probably have Puka ahead of him, but I also have both of them ahead of Kyron Williams, and I have both of them ahead of Kelsey. So neither of them really went earlier. I mean, London did not go earlier than I thought he would. If anything, I think he went a pick or two later than I would look to take him. So, but it's the injury. I mean, that's the reason. He is dealing presently with an injury. Allison said, just had to take the Kelsey-Mahomes combo this time. It was early, but why not? That's the thing. Like, if you look at where Allison was drafting, and I think she's copping to being Team 11 here, she's basically saying if it's the 3-4 turn, you probably can't pull it off, right? Because one or both of Kelsey Mahomes are likely to be gone by that point. It's hard to do it. So if you plan ahead and that was her plan to do and it worked out well, and look, nobody's going to be arguing with that process if we see those two just have another sensational season. Everybody looks at Kelsey and says, okay, maybe he's going to fall off a little bit. But yeah, if that works out, then who cares where you took them in the draft? It's really just about getting your guys. Trey McBride goes all the way till 5.6. That's one of the steals of the draft, and right now Colton probably has my favorite team. We'll see what TP99 does here, but right now those two, I really do like drafting from the middle this year. Pick number 6 or 7, I think, allows you to, you're not as susceptible to those positional runs, and you can grab guys that fall. And so TP99 takes Kyle Pitts. I wasn't going to have the luxury of taking a tight end anyway, but he was looking for my favor, right? Because I like both of those teams, and right now I think they're the leaders in the clubhouse. Ryan has done a nice job as well, but it'll be interesting to see what Ryan and Team 2 selection does, and TP99 over there with the 7th pick, what those guys do. They both go early tight end and early QB. Reno has done the same thing. That can be tricky to do both. I think this year is a year where it might make some sense to do it if you have the right setup. I need to stop talking and look at what I should be doing here, though. I've been slamming this selection most of the time at this stage in the draft, and I'm probably going to do it again. Make sure I'm not overlooking anything at tight end. And yeah, I did. I was a little susceptible to the positional run at tight end. Those dudes in the middle were not. So good for them. I'm going to take him again. I've been taking a lot of Rashee Rice at this stage, but I don't think he's going to still be there in the 5th. when it's all said and done. And for me, as a wide receiver 3, that helps me out. So I hate how balanced my team looks because I'm used to just loading up on wide receivers, and I have those 2 ugly running backs in my roster, in my lineup. It's great though. I'm not going to look at running back for like the rest of the draft because of having those 2 guys, but it is very much not the way that I typically look to do things. So it's fun though. George Kittle goes, so I'm basically back into a tight end punt situation. Through no fault of my own. Sometimes you just have to take what comes to you in the draft. And so we'll see what happens there at tight end. There's a couple more that are decent options though. We'll see. Team 12 or Team 10 could both be considering tight end. Wartburg takes her first wide receiver, and I think T. Higgins is a value at the late 5th. So like when you start 2 running back, early QB, early tight end, I'm skeptical at wide receiver of what that drafter is going to be able to pull off, but Higgins is a nice start. That's kind of like the Pittman pick, in my opinion, because you kind of know what you're going to get there. We're seeing Kyler Murray pushed up. People know that I like Kyler. So I think that may be part of the pick there, but maybe not. I don't know how many of the folks have tuned in for previous live streams and are now in on this one. Let me scroll down so everybody can see what we're working with. I'm glad somebody took a Dunze because I would have been tempted to do it even though I had DJ Moore, and that's not what I wanted there. So thank you, Allison, for doing that. Looking interesting. I've got a couple of moments here to think about my pick. I see a couple of tight ends that are viable, but I don't really want to have to spend a pick on tight end yet. I got to get those flexes filled. So you guys can see here, I'm working with DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, and Rashee Rice. I'm going to check out the live chat on YouTube real quick, see if I'm missing anything. Yeah, Pittman's ADP is 20 on ESPN. I think that's too high, but I think where he's going here is too low. I mean, that's a great, in the 4.5, I think is a really solid spot for him. So I was pretty happy to get Pittman there. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. I do all these mocks from Sleeper because I think it visually is the best for live stream videos, but I actually play some Yahoo leagues too. So maybe at some point I should do something over there. Stroud available this late is kind of the last of a tier. Feels like Kyler's already gone. So I won't be able to lock him in this time. That's okay. And now I'm thinking, man, it's a bummer I have Rice because I'm staring at Xavier Worthy. I wish I could draft him too, but I'm not. I'm going to resist the temptation. Yeah, this is getting a little bit dicey here in the 6th round because normally I can fall back on Kyler if I don't like the value of anybody that's out there. This time, that's not going to be an option for me, though. I think there's a value still on the board at wide receiver, and I certainly don't need a running back. So let's take him. We're going to go Christian Kirk. And I've drafted him on some of these videos that I've done on this channel, but I don't know if it was in a live stream or not. I have an interesting situation brewing. I've got a couple of number 1s, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman. I think those guys are 1s for their team. But, we're waiting to see what those passing offenses are going to look like. Rashee Rice, I think, is the 1 for the Chiefs, but really Kelsey is, so that's not a true number 1. And Christian Kirk, they have done everything in Jacksonville to try to replace him as the number 1. Remember when he signed his contract and everybody kind of made fun of how much the Jaguars were actually paying him? And I think he kind of took that personally and went out and proved himself to be one of the better wide receivers in the NFL. But now they've got Brian Thomas. They drafted him out of LSU. They signed Gabe Davis. So I don't know. For Christian Kirk, I'm very curious to see kind of what this year ends up looking like. But as my second flex, my 4th wide receiver, I could do a lot worse, is kind of how I view it. Let's pull everything down so we can take a look at the board in all of its glory here. JSN, Xavier Worthy, good picks at the back of the 6th. Let's check up on some of my favorite teams here. Colton grabs a quarterback. I think he got him at value, so I still like what's going on there. TP99 has grabbed his first running back. Aaron Jones in the 6th round is a value. I'm not drafting much of Aaron Jones this year, but that's because he's normally going in like the 5th, maybe even the 4th sometimes. In the 6th round, Aaron Jones, when you're a 0 RB drafter, is a great pick. No wonder I'm having such a hard time finding a rhythm in this draft. I've got 2 stalwarts drafting right on one side of me here. Team 6 and Team 7. I've been impressed. I like Ryan's draft as well, Team 2. I actually really like Ryan's draft. I'm not a big Nico Collins guy, but where he's drafting, I think he was probably one of the better options available. I wouldn't have been afraid if I were Ryan to reach a little bit more for Cooper Kupp. Kupp was already kind of reached upon. But even more so, I think, well, I say Jalen Waddle, but he has a chance. So I wouldn't necessarily want 2 Dolphins. So unless you're reaching on Malik Neighbors all the way to 3.2, which you could do, because again, nobody's going to remember in week 8, like, was Malik Neighbors drafted in the middle of the 3rd, or was he? No, he was early 3rd. That was a reach. Yeah, but if Malik Neighbors is great, who cares? So that would be the one, but Nico Collins could be great. So who am I to judge? And I love the Worthy pick in the late 6th. And now I'm just watching. I'm watching Team 2, Team 6, and Team 7 go to war here. Jaden Reed's another good pick. Yep, Ryan and I might have a lot of the similar rankings, similar belief systems here. Some really good drafting going on. I like the pick here by Team 3 as well. It is a situation where Jonathan Brooks is his RB2, but he can draft another RB2 later on, and then 5 or 6 weeks into the season, Brooks can be a legit RB2 for him, perhaps a top 15, top 18 name that he took in the 7th round. And then he's got Bijan, anchor running back. He's got a great tight end. He's got 4 wide receivers. So I like what Team 3 is doing as well. Couple of picks before me. We see Ingram go. There won't be anyone taking a tight end before me, but 2 teams behind me still need a tight end. So that could be an area that I need to try to keep an eye on. Stevenson goes, and he's not a name that I love, but I think at this stage for what Colton is trying to do as basically a 0 RB drafter, he took James Cook in the 4th. Ramondre is an RB2 who's going to see volume. I can't argue with that. And then we see Deontay go off the board. So here's me. I know that if I don't take a tight end here, I might end up missing out on both of my targets. I sit there every time and look at Jake Ferguson and Brock Bowers and go, I don't know which one to take. I'm going to take Brock Bowers, though, because I like rookies. But Ferguson might be the better pick. We could get to week 1 and Bowers could be in an offense that doesn't throw the ball really well, and he's probably going to be out on the field enough, and I think he's a great talent, having seen him play at Georgia in the SEC. So because of that, I'm more inclined to trust it. But I could also see that one backfired on me just a little bit. Because a lot of times I say, if you're not going to get a tight end you know you love, then just punt it to the end. But this year it feels a little bit different. At least it does for me. Let me know out there if y'all agree with that. We got 4 likes on the stream. I know we can do better than that. If you guys are still tuned in, make sure to hit like on the stream. Really appreciate y'all who have tuned in. And you can DM me at bschaefer12 on Twitter. The link to my Twitter is in the video description. Shoot me a DM if you're interested in joining the next mock draft, because we might run another one right after this. Najee Harris, 7.9. That's a good value. Minshew can sling it. Ryan says, hey, Minshew can sling it. He can. So for me, like Brock Bowers should be in good hands. And I think there's upside there, especially in PPR with target volume. Could be particularly noteworthy. Hollywood Brown, Jordan Addison, they both go off the board here. Late 7th. Zamir White. And Fergie goes. It's a nice pick in the 8th round by Team 12. All right, as the draft is snaking back toward me, everyone knows I need a quarterback, but otherwise I'm pretty set. I've got my 4 wide receivers where I need them. 2 flex, 2 wideouts. I've got my 2 running backs. I've had them since day 1. Feel very good about them. I like Saquon Barkley this year. I really do. Brees Hall, that kind of goes without saying, but I don't know why people aren't more excited about Saquon joining an actual offense. I think that could be real dangerous. So I'm in a spot now where I'm almost regretting the Christian Kirk pick because Brian Thomas is here, and to me, he is one of the better options. And I could just take him, but I'm not going to end up loving my team as much if I do. Like, I know that instinctively. Because they're both Jaguars. They're going to be fighting each other for targets. But I think value-wise, I'm cool with taking them. But one of my early season tasks is to trade one of the Jacksonville receivers if I go with this draft. And sometimes it's good to give myself a chore because otherwise I get bored. And unless I can find another receiver that I think is a better fit, like McConkey, I would have slammed him here. but he's gone. A little too early for J-Mo. If Brian Thomas weren't on the board, but I think Brian Thomas has more upside. Rookie, the allure of the unknown. He's on my bench. I'll start Christian Kirk week 1. But if Brian Thomas is him, I'll trade him. If he's not him, I'll keep benching him, and I'll wait for the 1 week where he pops off, and then maybe sell high. But I'll take my shot on that. This is interesting. I mean, it's definitely getting to be a sharper room. I don't hate my team. I think I've gotten some tremendous values. Pittman was a value. I think Rashee Rice was a value. Kirk was a value. I was able to fill out a wide receiver room that I think is very competitive with some of the other top wide receiver rooms in this draft, to be totally honest. Like Amon-Ra, London Neighbors, that top 3, Chase, Puka Nacua, Jalen Waddle, that top 3, those won't be touched by anybody else. Well, I mean, Harrison, Metcalf, Smith is probably up there too. Garrett Wilson, if Ayuk gets a contract with Flowers, that's another good one. But I genuinely think the fact that I don't really see too big of a drop-off to go from those rooms to DJ Moore, Pittman, Rice, like mine's 4th of the 4. And maybe I listed 5 there. Team 6, Team 7, Team 10, Team 12, and then mine. As I'm looking at wide receiver rooms that are 3 deep. Like Lamb, Collins, and Worthy has a shot for sure, because if Worthy hits, then that room is right up there. And I'm a little bit lacking in terms of high end. Like my wide receiver 1 is going to be worse than all of those. Worse than Chase, Amon-Ra, Harrison, because I drafted him in the 3rd round, late 3rd. But I think there's a world in which Rice is like DJ Moore, Pittman, Rice could all be top. They could all be wide receiver 1s or top 15, 16, right? Like that could be wide receiver 10, wide receiver 13, wide receiver 15. Wide receiver. I was talking too fast. I could see that being the case. And then Christian Kirk could easily be top 20 as well. Or Brian Thomas could make that leap.
Come on, dude.
Reno, what are we doing? Auto pick. Hate to see it. But it happens. It happens in real drafts sometimes too. 6 likes. Let's get it to 10. I believe in you. I believe in you guys. And hit subscribe on the channel. We're closing in on 900 subs. Very exciting times. So appreciate you guys who do subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything, but helps me a lot. Helps me a lot. I think this is 3 nights in a row that we've done a live here as well. So that's fun. Let's see what Captain Keller is up to. Adams, Olave, Diggs, Godwin, McLaurin. He's not afraid of the older wide receivers, that's for sure. Nor the older running backs. But he's waited on quarterback. He's waited on tight end. He's the only person in the league to not have one or the other. We'll see if this turn here gets that situation to be changed. Going Nick Chubb, so just loading up with these older running backs. Nick Chubb's interesting in the back of the 8th. Like, if he's healthy, I don't think I'm taking a lot of these guys in round 6, 7, and 8 over him. But if he's not healthy, could it be a wasted pick? Maybe, but it's on his bench anyway. And look, there are still quarterbacks out there to be had, but I worry a little bit for Keller if he doesn't take one here. Team 3 needs one. I still need one. Shoot. And Team 10 needs one. And he'll go Burrow. That's the thing. I mean, you can wait till the 9th round and draft Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is really good at football. Like that's a great spot to be in. So it's hard to hate the notion of the long wait at the quarterback position this year. Dak Prescott's still out there. You kidding me? If I had taken Jake Ferguson, I think Prescott's who I would be targeting here. Although I shouldn't say that before Langston picks, because he still needs a quarterback too. And this is where I really do wish I still needed an RB2. This is why I don't mind waiting for that RB2, because Javonte, Tony Pollard, I would take either of those guys to be my second running back. But now it's like I don't really need another running back. So do I end up missing out on those values? And maybe I just take some late handcuffs for the rest of my RB room. Purdy goes. So, I mean, taking a look at the quarterback situation now, There shouldn't be another one that goes right here. Javonte goes, so I don't even have that as an option anyway now. And Trey Benson goes, which I'm okay with because J-Mo fell all the way back to me. It's an easy pick for me here. I was considering Jameson Williams at the 8.5. I get him at 9.8. Quarterbacks be damned. Let Team 10 eat, let him do what he wants here at QB. If he doesn't take Dak, I'll take Caleb. If he doesn't take Caleb, I'll take Jared Goff. I'll take Jaden Daniels. Take Tua. Trevor Lawrence is down here. I've got two of his wide receivers. I might as well just take Trevor Lawrence. Right? So I am cool with waiting at quarterback. If there's anything you take away from this video and these mock streams that we've been doing, get your guy if you have him there and you feel like it's a value, but also don't be afraid to wait at QB. I think you'll be more than fine. And pay attention to your scoring settings. Is it a 6-point pass touchdown league? If yes, bump up guys like Dak Prescott. Bump up, even Tua, Jared Goff. Guys who will throw touchdowns, but they don't really run for them. If it's a 4-point passing touchdown league, bump up guys with some rushing upside. Kyler Murray, Anthony Richardson, Jaden Daniels. If it's 6-point touchdown or 4-point touchdown, just don't draft Justin Herbert because they're just going to run the ball. No, I mean, even Justin Herbert is more than a fine option. I'm not that enthused about him this year, but as far as NFL quarterback talents, there's enough good ones. And then half of them will get hurt and we'll be all scrambling. But for now, it looks it's nice to feel like you don't have to draft a quarterback. Superflex, now it's a different story. If you're in a Superflex league, totally different conversation. Chase Brown, Blake Corum. That's a fun little turn. I don't love his Zamir White pick. I could be wrong, but I just won't have any shares. So I like doubling up on Brown and Corum there to pair with Jonathan Taylor. Feels like his roster kind of needed it, and he did it. And Team 10 grabs Caleb Williams, so there are no more quarterback-needy teams other than myself, which I like. But I'm probably waiting, especially if there's a name that I see that I'm like, yep, this guy's not getting back to me. But the more I look at it, there's really not one of those names. But I also am not ready to take a quarterback because I don't know who I want. Make sure to hit subscribe on the channel as we're waiting for my 10th round pick. 7 likes, we can get to 10 for sure. Yeah, I would bump up Burrow in a 6-point pass TD league, don't you think? He's not going to really run as many touchdowns, and he'll throw plenty. Basically, the matrix on that is, does your QB, like if I am Anthony Richardson and he's going to throw, this is just a made-up number, he's going to throw 25 touchdowns and he's going to run in 10 touchdowns. Well, in a 6-point pass touchdown league, you could just say he's going to score 35 touchdowns. And if Dak Prescott's going to throw 35 but run 0, well, that's the same. But quarterback passing touchdowns are worth less in a lot of leagues. So the leagues that they're worth more or equal to what the regular rushing touchdown is, then you don't need to worry about if a guy is rushing or not. It's actually better if he's not and just gets more total touchdowns. Like Kirk Cousins could be very viable if he throws a bunch of TDs. Now, Bijan might run some in, so that hurts him there. I can't take Tyler Lockett. He keeps getting sniping from me. But I could take Dak Prescott. And again, for the purposes of this league, I think my standard assumption on Sleeper is 4-point pass TDs. So, that's just something to keep in mind. I would hate to be the guy that takes a quarterback right now knowing that nobody else needs one. But I'm looking at the running backs, I'm looking at the receivers, and there's not really anybody that's just crazy jumping off the board to me. And there is one upside quarterback still left. It's Jaden Daniels with the rushing upside. So I will take him under the assumption that the standard mock format in Sleeper is 4-point pass TDs. They don't show that as an option that I can change for a mock draft. So I don't honestly know the answer. But Daniels is my late round QB that I like because he's got rushing upside. So I'll go ahead and lock him in. It would have just made me feel icky to take a wide receiver or a running back there that, like, normally in the 10th round, I would be looking Corum, I would be looking Chase Brown, I would be looking Trey Benson. All those guys were gone. 10th round, Jalen Wright feels kind of early, but like I said, got to get your guys. And that's why, like, if he was there in the 11th, I would probably look Jalen Wright just because I'm like, okay, time to get more running backs on my team. But I've got 2 starters. I'm just not going to sweat it. I'd like to get one more. And if there's a big, long running back run right here, I'll feel a little bit silly. But I would have just felt like a dummy drafting a Jerome Ford or a Jalen Wright before picking up my quarterback. And then somebody probably grabs Jaden Daniels because they're like, well, he does have the rushing upside. Why wouldn't you want to stash a guy like that on your bench? Which is fair. But then if that ends up happening, okay, does somebody else panic and go, well, if it's a run on backups, now I'm going Dak Prescott. Like, if I'm taking an RB3 when my top 2 RBs are, I think, top 5 overall, and so in theory, I'm never hoping to use that RB3, and I'm taking that guy instead of someone that I think could break fantasy football at the quarterback position. I'm not saying he will, but he has the skill set to do so. Yeah, that would feel stupid. So I had to take Daniels. Had to take him there. It just feels like a little bit of a bummer. But I'm the last person in the league to take a quarterback, and I got someone that I think could be top 5. So Jordan Love should not be going 5 rounds after Stroud. I agree. I think they're both kind of in a similar situation. I see the logic there. That's why I'm looking at like Burrow, Love, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. Purdy's fine. He's not one that I'm crazy about in terms of like I'm taking both Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels before Purdy. So if I have to wait till the 9th round and I'm still having those guys as options, I'm happy. JJ says they're in the same tier in my mind as well. Both good rookie years, and they have a lot of good receiver options. It's a little different because Jordan Love's not a rookie, was not a rookie last year, but kind of feels like it because he hadn't, played. But yeah, that's the thing, man. Taking a quarterback in round 3, we saw one person do it here, but it was to get the Mahomes-Kelsey stack, which I can't argue against. But then it's like even round 4, I almost picked Josh Allen. Y'all remember it, but I'm like, I think I'm going to need the wide receiver. A Browns-Hurts stack would be fun. A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts stack. And yeah, I guess that is the stack that Trev was able to pick up. And you didn't overpay for that stack either. Like you got the back half of the stack in the 4th, 4.4. So that's reasonable. Let's see what happens here. Palmer's a good pick in the 11th. That's my favorite pick I've seen in the 11th so far. I understand it was Jordan Love's first full year, but I don't think that counts as rookie. Like, is it his 3rd year? Technically in the NFL last year? Did he sit for 2 years behind Aaron Rodgers? I can't remember. It might have been longer than that. Okay, I can stop looking at quarterbacks now. 2 QBs are at the top of the ADP, but I don't think I'm taking it back up. I will take Dak in the 13th round if he's still there. But otherwise, I don't necessarily think I'm taking it back up. Although, I mean, if Jaden Daniels gets hurt, then I'm feeling like maybe I should have. And the only reason I mention his injury potential is just because a running quarterback like him is more susceptible to injury. But as we've seen, any type of QB can get injured. Last year was brutal for that across the NFL. All right, so let's see here. DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, Rashee Rice, Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas, James Williams. I got 6. I still ended up with basically the same wide receiver room in terms of style that I always end up with having a 6-pack of guys that I think can be legit. The only difference is it happens a little bit later for me. And so I don't have the true wide receiver 1. I need a DJ Moore or a Michael Pittman to step up. But otherwise, I'm in a great spot because I don't think anybody's got my RB room. It's my turn, so I'll focus on that in a minute. I'll pick first. I should grab an RB3. Rico Dowdle is somewhat interesting. I'll take Charbonnet, though, because it is PPR, and I've been passing him up a lot. I keep finding that I usually draft a Seahawk, whether it's Metcalf or JSN or Ken Walker, so I haven't been able to take Charbonnet at this level. I think he's a value, though. He's a handcuff, but he's also one that if I had to plug in during a bye week, in PPR, I expect him to get me 8 points. Dowdle is more like if I needed an RB2 right now, I would have taken Dowdle. Because I think, and with the Cowboys, if they just let him play and they say, oh yeah, Zeke is old and washed up, then Rico Dowdle could actually be a very good RB2. He could finish top 20, top 18, top 16 in fantasy this year at the RB position. but he also might not be the guy. So if he doesn't have the goal line because Zeke does, then it's just going to be too messy. Whereas Charbonnet, I feel like I'm getting him for a specific reason. It's the PPR upside. I have an idea of what I think his role is going to be. I'm comfortable with that. He's an RB on my bench. I'll probably leave with 4 RBs. I could draft another receiver if I had to. I just don't feel super compelled to. Guys like Shaheed are interesting. Darnell Mooney is probably listed too low for the amount of time he'll spend on the field. I could go with a rookie like Roman Wilson, Jermaine Burton. Those guys are fun. I got to scroll down and like, who's going to be the Puka Nacua this year? Which doesn't mean who's going to break fantasy as a rookie and like try to win a Triple Crown. But like, there's going to be a rookie receiver that we don't see coming. What I hate about the Puka thing last year is I did see him coming, and I just didn't do anything about it in my dynasties. Like, I was all over him in redraft, and I liked him in dynasty, but then I got spooked off of him because nobody was talking about him. And I was like, I was drafting him at the end of best ball and everything. That's a regret of mine. Okay, I said I was going to take Dak Prescott if you all left him for me. I said in the 13th. I actually am going to take him in the 12th. The one thing that could leave me is Slim Pickett's on my backup running back. But the more I got to thinking about it, the more I'm like, what if Jaden Daniels stinks? Dak, I think, could still be very good for fantasy this season, and they don't have a running back, so basically every touchdown is going to go through Dak's arm, is kind of the way I look at it. Zeke will have the goal line, and it won't work, so he'll have to throw it on 3rd down and 3 from the goal. Normally, I do not draft 2 quarterbacks. The time to do it, though, is when you get Jaden Daniels in the 10th, and you basically see Dak Prescott fall to the very end of the draft. Like, Dak Prescott should not be going probably after Goff. That they're similar in a lot of ways, but I'll take Dak over Purdy. I'll take him in the same tier as Love and Burrow. And we were just saying that Love is in Stroud's tier. So, yeah, I'm going to take Dak if y'all will let me have him in the 12th. Hawkinson in the 12th is crazy. Here's the thing. The injury is going to mean he's out for half the year. However, I like drafting injured players when you know about their injury. It's a surgery that they're recovering from. Not like they just got hurt in training camp, so it could be something that just lasts and lasts and lasts. With Hawkinson, you know the drill. You know he's hurt going in. It's baked into his draft price 100%. I kind of like that because you can stash him on IR and pick up, like, you could almost not even draft a Dallas Goedert. Draft Hawkinson in the 12th round and pick up Freiermuth with your last pick, or pick up Luke Musgrave off of waivers for week, the first part of the season. I don't hate that at all. And that allows you, like, knowing that you're going to do that and having that as a plan going in, if you're able to trust it, would then allow you to be able to really prioritize the other portion of the draft. That's at least how I see it. And try to get out of the way here so we can see what's going on down at the bottom. I just covered up somebody's team in the upper right, so I'm sorry about that. Taking a look at those middle teams. Who ended up winning the battle between Team 6 and 7? Chase Amon-Ra, Puka London, Waddle Neighbors. That is a dead heat. I got Allen over Stroud at quarterback. I've got the running back room for Colton a little bit better because I think he did a nice 0 RB sort of build. I like James Cook over Jones by a nose. Ramondre over Mostert, I think by a nose. I'll take Javonte over Benson. And I like Wright over Ford, but it depends on the need. Like, if you're shooting for upside, Wright's more fun. Ford in a 0 RB build is just going to give you a little bit of RB2 certainty in a pinch. So I'm going to lean Colton there. Tight end is kind of a split. Braylon Allen goes a few picks before me. That's probably who I should have taken in the 12th to handcuff Breece Hall. The more I got to thinking about that, yesterday I said, I'm not really handcuffing. That's not something that I'm going to do outside of just a couple of examples. Somebody mentioned, well, what about Tyler Algier for Bijan? I said, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Achane with Wright is another one. But I'm thinking Breece Hall, if you want Braylon Allen there in the 12th, that's not the worst thing in the world. Ray Davis goes as well, so I don't end up getting to pick him either. That kind of stinks. Did Ray Davis go to the the Cook drafter? Yep. So there are some, that's going to be a strategy that I think people are going to use, is that rookie handcuff notion. I'll take Bucky Irving myself. Just draft somebody else's rookie. Whoever had Rachaad White, sorry. We're talking in the chat. James Cook likely has a good year due to Buffalo not having a great wide receiver room. Totally agree with that potential. But Ray Davis could also eat into the workload a little bit. I don't think that's crazy to think. A lot of great receivers in round 4 for sure. Okay, so don't hate Bijan Robinson just because he lost your season last year. That's gonna get you in too tight of a pickle. All right, let's take a look at how this thing. Actually, we'll remove my team. Nobody cares. Look at how this thing panned out. I care about my team. You don't have to. But I like the Breece Hall Bijan thing. I was going to look at RBs to see if anybody could touch that. And I don't really think anybody can. But that's fine. I mean, that doesn't mean it's going to work out for me. Gibbs and Jacobs is close. Henry and Rachaad White is close. Etienne and Ken Walker is in that conversation. McCaffrey and Kamara could do it. But I think Breece Hall and I don't think there's anybody else's roster that really legitimately has the potential to have 2 running backs finish in the top 5 necessarily. Maybe Kamara could do it in PPR, but I'm not betting on it. So I really like the Breece Hall Barkley thing. It leaves me a little bit unfulfilled though. I will say, it leaves me a little bit unfulfilled. I'll just take this off the screen for a little bit at the wide receiver position, but it's my own brain because DJ Moore and Pittman's fine. But let me know in the comments, what does the live chat think who won this draft? I think there's some interesting teams for sure. But this was a fun one. This was one that I was challenged a little bit more. Big Daddy wants to get into the mocks. GTA wants to know if he should go RB heavy in non-PPR. Yeah, always bump up running backs, especially that first couple of rounds in non-PPR. Let's see. I'm going to check Twitter and see if anybody has DM'd at bschaefer12. And if so, I will get those people a link to the next one. We do have a few people that are interested in the mock. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fix things here. I should be able to do this. I should be able to pull this off. You can look in my room a little bit bigger than you need to. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. I will go to Sleeper and we'll start up a new mock. We will do a second one, but the link is going to go to people who did not get to participate in the first one first. DM me at bschaefer12 on Twitter to jump in. I'm going to grab the link here, and then we'll be able to start it anew. So you guys just talk amongst yourself. Make sure you subscribe. We've gained a couple subscribers on this stream. Trying to get to 900, though, so, I mean, you can be part of that. We're at 890 right now. You can be part of getting the stream where it needs to be. I did have one person request it, so I'm sending that person. It's G Flower. It's an interesting name. Sending that person one on Twitter now, just to make sure we get anybody in that had asked and wanted to be. And then we'll be able to get it going. I will post the link in the chat now, so be ready for that. There's only a couple people that had requested. Guys, you got to DM me or just be ready to click the thing here in a second because I'm going to post this in the chat. Everybody says, hey, I want Team 9, I want whatever. I won't be able to get it done. Big Daddy, I'm at bschaefer12 on Twitter. The link is in the video description. Yep, Allison just posted it. Jared, I cannot do a mock with keeper picks simply because it's a little too niche. Everybody's keeper league is going to be different, and so it would not quite be as good of a use of time for an audience of hopefully, like, I'm hoping that I wake up tomorrow and 500 people have watched this thing. That's kind of what's happened the last couple of days. So I understand it. I could do it with you privately at some point maybe. That's kind of the other thing that I want to do is if I can get this YouTube channel up. My baseball channel has channel memberships. I honestly think the fantasy football channel could be more useful for people who sign up for memberships. I'll give you like the exclusive kind of advice column and mock draft with you and that sort of thing. Okay, I'm going to wait a couple more seconds. If I get any other DMs on Twitter, they'll get the link first. Anthony just DM'd me, so he's about to get the link. Dom, I am doing another one. I'm sending this to Dom right now. So just trying to get a couple people who are watching in the chat, which I appreciate those guys doing that. Make sure to subscribe, by the way. Big Daddy, if you did, I got a few DMs. I'm going to post this in the chat now, though, so it's going to be a free-for-all. Here we go. Check your DM or check right here. I just sent it in the chat. I will have to kick somebody out if y'all beat me to it because I actually have to join the draft still, too. So let's see if I can beat y'all to the punch. It's filling up fast. Filling up fast. Damn. All right. I just had to grab the first pick because if I didn't, I was going to miss out. I felt like I was almost going to miss out entirely. No, forget it. I'll take the fourth pick. I try to draft from somewhere different every time. And I think I did the sixth the other night. So it's in there. A lot of the same people will probably get a chance to play again, which is fine. I can't do these videos without, I mean, I could, but it's more fun to have people drafting with me. All right. I'm gonna make myself smaller again on the screen. That was the best thing I could think to do was like, let's just cover up the screen with my face. We'll move that back into its little pocket there. I'm learning as I go on these live streams. I've done a lot of baseball live streams, baseball talk, but nothing like this. So appreciate y'all for bearing with me. It's a pretty new channel. I started it last August. I made a lot of mock draft content during that month, August 2023. But then I kind of left it dormant there for a while and didn't do much with it. Now I'm trying to get it to the YouTube Partner Program a freaking sap. We got 3 spots left, it looks like, in the mock. So jump in, get in where you fit in. But you better be liking the stream. We got 11 likes. We can get to 15. Surely we can get to 15 likes. The live chat has the link. I'll post it again. We need a few more of you guys that are watching to mock with us. Come mock with us. Team 6, Team 8, Team 11. You know what would go hard for this is TikTok. I need to figure out how to stream to TikTok. I think I need more followers on TikTok to actually be able to do it. Team 6, Team 8, Team 11. We need you guys. If anybody knows how to set up a live stream to TikTok where I can actually do the sleeper thing in there, that's what I need to do next. You guys are going to make me tweet this out if we can't get a few more of y'all in the room. Anybody who wants to can jump in. There's no barrier to entry. You just have to have the sleeper app. We're only missing 3 people right now. But I am going to tweet it out. I'm tweeting the link, and that should get it filled. And then we'll be able to rock and roll. Somebody make a note. We're around like the 55-minute mark because I'm going to split these into 2 separate videos. And I just want to make sure that I know right about where I need to split after the first mock was done. I think we still got the same number of spots. Come on, fellas. Let's get it going. Nope, we've got 2 spots now. Quay has hopped back in. Team 6 and Team 12. Nobody went to Bo Callahan's birthday party. Never forget. You know what? I've still never seen that movie, but I know the reference. Yep, 55-minute. Jared, I got to figure out TikTok, dude. That's going to be the next frontier here. I think you need 1,000. I used to hear that you needed 1,000 subscribers on there or followers on there to go live. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I've never actually tried it. I don't quite have 1,000. Going to Rickwood Field in Alabama for that Cardinal game, I had like a video that got like 500,000 views on TikTok. That was like my one-hit wonder. All right, we're just gonna go here in a moment. McCullough's in. All right, we just need one more, and then I'm gonna light this thing up like it's 4th of July. Team 12, come on, somebody wants to draft from the turn. The link is right there. We've got 23 viewers, and yet nobody else wants to hop in. Hop in. It's gonna be you. Team 12. Who's it gonna be? What's 600, 800? My TikTok? Yeah, I think I'm at like 660. 660 over there, and we're at 890 over here. We just need 9 more subscribers on this channel to get to 1,000. You know what I should do? I am going to do it. Hold on. This is like me figuring out how to be a good live streamer as we go. I need a counter on the screen that tells everybody how many subscribers the channel has so they notice it and they want to subscribe. How would I do that? It would be like a text or something. Yeah, I'm figuring this out. Everybody chill for a second. Hold on a second. I'm thinking. I think this can work. If I make the color something really obnoxious, easy to notice. There we go. You guys are seeing this happen live. I'm trying to do this live. It kind of covers up my face a little bit. You guys will be able to say that you were here back when. All right, let's kick it off. I didn't get the sounder, but that's okay. We're underway. We're going CeeDee Lamb number 1. Holy smokes. CeeDee Lamb off the board. Jared, if you don't take Christian McCaffrey, so help me. You can do what you want. I'm just kidding. But that would be really funny. If you were at the 1.2 and you're like, you spend weeks deciding between which wide receivers you want, and you say, I want CeeDee Lamb. And then the dude at 1 picks Lamb, and you're like, I wasn't even thinking McCaffrey would be here. And then sure enough, Jared goes, Tyreek Hill. The craziness ends there. McCaffrey goes 3. You wouldn't let me have him, Caden? I would have taken him. Amon-Ra's my guy, I think, at 4. Jamar Chase dealing with like the contract thing, so that's why I think I'm a little more on the Amon-Ra side. I just had to, you know. We can update the live subscriber count. We're up to 892. It's true. 892. We can get to 900 before the end of this stream, I bet. Yep, Jared said, I wanted Hill. Why would you do this to me? Hey, man. You went with it, though. Amon-Ra is a freak of nature. I drafted Amon-Ra, I believe, at the 1.9 last year. He was going, ADP said about like the 11 or 12. It was a 14-team league, and I said, he's my guy. I don't care. He's who I'm taking. And I had zero regrets about that. It was awesome. Yeah, I was all over Amon-Ra coming into last season. That's the thing, Colton. JMO breakout season is the one thing that is a downside to drafting Amon-Ra. But JMO is so late, I'll take them both. Like if I took him in the 10th round of the mock we just did. Normally I don't mind. I don't want to spend premium picks on 2 guys from the same team. But last draft I took JMO. Last draft I took Christian Kirk and Brian Thomas, but I took them both late. I don't like Slap DeBase coming in and going auto draft on us. What's going on with that? Come on now. It happens, so. Okay, A.J. Brown goes 9. It's pretty chalky so far in like 4 through 9 ways. Not chalk at the beginning of it. You guys went a little crazy. But I appreciate it. I'm glad you did. It was kind of fun. We can update the subscriber count once again. It's getting pretty lit. This is getting lit. Puka Nacua, Garrett Wilson. That's a fun little stack there, Quay. Yep. Puka's the guy that if I'm sitting in that area of the second round and it's like, y'all are really going to let me have Puka Nacua? I don't care about the knee. Just give me Puka Nacua. He is fun to have. Very fun to have. We got a Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley stack. I always like watching. What do people do with the first 2 rounds? You can't win a draft there, but you can probably lose one there. Drafting the wrong 2. Not that anybody here is doing that. Getting into an interesting spot here. What does Keller want to do? Breece Hall is a good start. There are 3 running backs left that I would even consider. And now there are 2. And I'm going to get one of them. London or Achane right there, I would have been happy with either. But we'll take Devon Achane. I am finding myself, AI is ruining fantasy football. What do you mean by that? I find myself taking a lot of Achane in the back of the second just because I want to be able to lock in a running back because I think it dies down for rounds 3 and 4. Then the value it kicks back up in rounds 5 and 6. But if you're drafting a running back in the 4th, to me, you're doing it wrong. Ryan says, am I the only one who does not want Olave this year? No, dude, I drafted him in a video I did earlier today, but only because it was like late second. I just don't trust the Derek Carr of it all. That's the problem for me. I'm clicking other names in his range. But to me, I still would take Olave over, like he's the top wide receiver on the ADP right now, but there's probably wide receivers I would still take above him. But I'll do it. I won't do it here. I guess I'm about to be tested with that exact question unless Caden takes me off the hook. Ryan, if I don't take Olave, you probably should at this stage. Like if he's my wide receiver 2 and I have an Achane, like he gets his targets. That's what Trev said. He's got a point. But I'm looking at like, okay, so it's not going to come up. But would I have had I almost wish that Caden hadn't taken me off the hook because I wanted to know when push came to shove, would I have done it? Because I like Waddle, but I can't take him because I've got Achane. I mean, I can. I'm just not going to. My roster is going to feel so much better this time when I take DJ Moore and he's my wide receiver 2 instead of my 1. I'll tell you what. But just despite the people that are going to take Malik Neighbors, I'm just going to do it all the way at 3.4. In a real league, I don't know if I would be able to pass up the value of Moore or even Waddle or even Cooper Kupp. But dang it, Neighbors is flying up draft boards, and I am still going to try to be ahead of it. At this point, if I'm at 3.7 and I see Neighbors go, I'm not going to be too upset about it because I'm like, okay, clearly somebody was going to take it no matter what. And if Sleeper bumps Neighbors at all on their list, it's going to be really difficult to be able to feel like you're getting fair value for him because Daniel Jones does suck. That's the problem, is that Daniel Jones is not good. And that's who's going to be throwing him the football. I can't even lean back on Drew Lock as the option anymore because he's hurt. Keller, find you a wide receiver, my boy. Or Kelsey. These auto pickers, I swear. Yeah, the Giants have nobody else, so Neighbors is going to be great. Yeah. I traded for Neighbors in Dynasty, by the way, a couple days ago. I'll tell you guys what the deal was. You can tell me if this is crazy or not. It's a super flex league. I have to pull it up because I don't really remember it off the top of my head. But it was just an opportunity to get him, and so I was like, I think I just got to do it. It started because Sam Darnold goes on the trade block in the league after J.J. McCarthy's injury. I have Justin Jefferson, so I'm thinking, not bad. Super flex league, maybe I'll stack it. Here's the trade that ends up happening. I get Neighbors and Darnold. I give up Bryce Young, my first rounder in 2025, and Adonai Mitchell. Bryce Young, A.D. Mitchell, and a future first for Neighbors and Darnold. Especially knowing I have Jefferson, that made the Darnold part of it all that more attractive. But I think I got what I needed in that deal. And with where I'm drafting in some of my leagues, like I'm drafting in the back half of the round, so I'm not getting Neighbors coming back in the late third. That ship has sailed. Ryan mentions that I find Harrison a bigger risk than Neighbors in the early third because Harrison's going at the turn, the 1-2 turn. I agree. I find myself still wanting a piece of Harrison there, but yeah. Big DK Metcalf guy this year, says Big Daddy, and I agree with that too. I almost am afraid that when I get to all my drafts, I will have spent all this time starting as a big DK guy. You have to be specific. Big DK guy. And then I don't draft him because people make fun of me too much for it. I like Geno above Derek Carr as well, Ryan. They're talking about that in the Sleeper chat. You can join the Sleeper chat, by the way, guys. If you're on YouTube, you can join the Sleeper League chat as it's live. You just won't be able to draft, but the room is still open. The link was posted in the live chat. You'd have to scroll up to find it. DJ Moore with DK Metcalf. You have Big Daddy has my draft that I did an hour ago. That's basically what he's putting together right now. 2 running backs to start, and then getting wide receivers that people don't feel like are as sexy, but are absolutely going to be quality fantasy producers. It feels like he doesn't have a wide receiver 1, but in reality, he might have 2, DK Metcalf and DJ Moore. So I'm in favor of that. Quay, I do question the 4-pack of wide receivers. Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua, I loved. Following it up with Diggs Pittman. I think Pittman's a value. I'm questioning Diggs a little bit. But then again, it's, like, could you have taken Rachaad White, maybe Josh Jacobs? If Derrick Henry had fallen to you, that would have been interesting perhaps. I maybe should have taken Derrick Henry at 3.4. I wasn't even looking running back. But I feel like Derrick Henry ended up being a nice value here. But then Trev goes 3 RB, where I would have doubled back in PPR to get another wide receiver. But he sure has gotten value. Trev is going to feel very comfortable, I think, attacking wide receivers the rest of the way. Tank Dell goes. Devontae Smith goes. This sucks, man. I want to get one of those guys. Devontae Smith would have been sick for me in the 4th round. But it wasn't meant to be. Quay does work the trade board, so he's going to be just fine. I just don't like Diggs this year. I'm not correct necessarily. I just don't like him. If he was going in the 5th round, I would, but not in the 3rd. 3 Texans wide receivers. One of them's not gonna hit for fantasy. So more likely than not, it'll be somebody that's drafted in the 3rd rather than the 4th. I like the value on Dell. I cannot get the frog out of my throat. Give me a second, would you? Let me clear my throat. Okay, I've done that. And now I have to pick. I really didn't clear it. It's still like that. Well, Zay Flowers is here, so I'll pick him. That was easy. It's like the Staples commercial. Yep, that was real easy. I like being earlier in the 1st round because when the 4th round comes, I still have a shot at somebody, and then I might get another somebody in the 5th. The 4-5 turn at wide receiver, it maybe not turn because not enough running backs are going to go in the 4th to save guys like Devontae Smith and Tank Dell for the back half. I barely got Zay Flowers as it was. But like Pickens is still, if Pickens somehow falls to me in the 5th, I'm taking him. If T. Higgins, you all just saw me draft Christian Kirk. So there is some real value at wide receiver, I think, in the 4-5 range. I could take another running back. There's a running back that could fall to me in the 5th round. Yeah, this is a smart group, Ryan. This is going to feel like when we keep drafting with this group every night on these streams, it is going to feel like when we go back to draft our home leagues that we are on steroids. That's what it's going to feel like, I hope. Because I really do feel like we have had there. I can at least tell, like, not that I'm not noticing only some of you and not the others, but at least half of you I can tell are like on it. Let me ask you this. Do any of you guys look at fantasy content? Like, whose fantasy content do you use to kind of help, I wouldn't say form your opinions, but like kind of guide you? I always like to look at, there are some certain people that I'll look at to kind of check, like, here's where I'm thinking, is this crazy or am I at least in line with someone that I know is savvy? I'm curious if any of you guys have different, and like, I ask because I feel like this is obviously, I want you to look at my fantasy content, but at the same time, I'm new in this. I've played a lot of fantasy football, but I haven't done a lot of content. Flock fantasy, like it's always good to kind of hear. And honestly, from my perspective, I want to know from a business sense, like who's doing YouTube right? Because for those of you who know me from baseball, I'm doing YouTube for St. Louis Cardinals baseball and have been progressing in that the last year or so. But I'm curious, like, who are the fantasy voices? Because look, there's a lot out there, and a lot of it is kind of crap. I think a lot of it that gets almost too into the numbers and the data is like, okay, I get it. You have a computer science degree or whatever. But there's some times where it's like I draft based on not like off of feel, but I just know I have a draft strategy more so than needing these specific players or needing to say, it's all about roster building, I think is really the way that I like to approach it. Underdog is very valuable. Trying to work some stuff out with Underdog right now, actually, for the channel. So we'll see. Well, I've got some options here at wide receiver, don't I? We could go Rome Odunze. We could go back to the well on Rashee Rice. I'm going to take a Odunze. I could take T. Higgins. I mean, I said I would. The thing is, none of these guys are getting back to me. Kyle Pitts is not getting back to me. Nope. I'm taking Rice. I want to like my team. I don't think I will be able to get Rice at this point when the drafts really count, but I'm going to click him every time in the 5th round. So, yeah, Ryan, that's the problem. The tight ends right here are glorious values. Andrews, Pitts, it's going to be like 3 in a row. McBride is, I can't wait to play some auction drafts because some of these guys that are going in the 4th and 5th, I'm going to fill my team with them. I would fill a team with, forget everybody that goes in the first 2 rounds. Give me the cheapest wide receiver out of Neighbors, Waddle, Kupp, Metcalf in an auction. Then give me like Rice, Flowers, Smith, Dell, Moore, whichever of those guys don't go over like $25, $30. Give me one of those guys. Give me one of these tight ends for like $15. Don't care which one. Pitts on up. I mean, that's, yeah. The values are crazy, but you can't draft them all. I would, in a league where you could trade picks beforehand, I would trade somebody, my 3rd rounder, maybe even my 2nd rounder for like a 4th and a 5th. I would trade one guy, my 3rd rounder for that, and then I would trade the next guy, my 2nd rounder for that. And I would just draft with a bunch of round 4, round 5 picks, and I would be just fine. Ryan does not love Pitts this year. I like McBride better. I like Andrews better. Kincaid, I might even still like better. He's not expensive, though, Ryan. That's the thing. Like, if you're getting him in the 5th or 6th, late 5th, early 6th, I'm going to take my shot on the talent. I think he needs a quarterback. I think Arthur Smith needed to get out of there. Those 2 things have happened. I'm going to be, and I even sent a tweet about this earlier tonight. It was pretty good. The tweet that I replied to was funny. I'm going to find it here. Actually, here we go. I'm going to learn how to live stream even better by doing what I'm about to do. It's not clean. It's clunky when I do it, but I'll just be able to show you on screen what the tweet looked like. That's what a live streamer would do. They would actually be able to visibly and display what they're talking about. We did see those 3 tight ends go off bang, 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 didn't we? So I'm punting again. I'll see you soon, Brock Bowers or Jake Ferguson or whoever the hell. That's just the way it is sometimes. That's the way baseball be. Where is that Kyle Pitts tweet that I responded to? Here we go. It made me laugh, so hopefully it makes you guys laugh too. And somebody let me know if it's my turn. All right, now I just have to add the image. I'll talk my way through it. We're having fun. It's all good. In a moment, I'll actually be able to go back. And I totally do need another screen to be able to do all these things at once. I need a monitor. I'm learning. Well, dang it. My screenshot did not pop up as my most recent screenshot like I thought it would. Is it my turn yet? No? Let's see what you guys are up to. Odunze is a great pick in the 6th. TP99 is balling out here. I like his draft. I'm not a huge Devontae Adams fan, but doesn't mean I'm right. Got him at a fair value. Love all his other players. It's a good draft. I like what McCullough is doing on the edge a little bit. I liked his turn. Gibbs Harrison is fun. Maybe a little bit high on Mahomes. We've talked about quarterback value being good late, but lands a couple running backs that are stalwarts, and then grabs an upside Xavier Worthy at a spot that I think he might have grabbed him a little early, but he wasn't getting back all the way. You take him at 6-1 or you don't get him. That's the way it goes sometimes when you're on the turn. Man, there's still some values at wide receiver. I like somebody had mentioned Keller, you got to stop autoing, dude. What are you doing? Christian Kirk goes right before me. I probably would have put Christian Kirk on my bench. Big Daddy had said he was considering Zay Flowers at 4.3, so I thought that was fun that I got him at 4.9. Let's take a look. I need a running back. I need a tight end. I need a quarterback. Now I'd feel even better about a Brian Thomas pick simply because I don't have Christian Kirk on my team. Team 1, 2, and 3 have quarterbacks, so don't need to worry about that for the moment. I could draft George Kittle. What did George Kittle do last year? He remains ready for week 1. Well, I should hope so. He had 200 PPR points last year. He's fun to have, man. He can be really fun to have sometimes. Sometimes he blocks too much, though. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit caught up here, aren't I? Let's grab Jaden Reed. We'll go Jaden Reed. I was looking at a couple of these other receivers here. Some more than others. Tight end is tricky because none of these teams have it. But I also can just totally punt the position and take a quarterback at 7 if my tight ends and my wide receiver targets get stolen. McLaurin wasn't one of them. Kittle obviously was at tight end. There's also a couple running backs that could make it back to me. So I'm going to feel fine no matter what here. I'm going to feel fine no matter what happens. Because I've got a 5-pack of receivers that I like. I'm still sitting there with just Devon Achane. But yes, I have loaded up on the wide receiver position so far. I could take... McConkey was one of the receivers. I almost clicked McConkey over Jaden Reed, and I was under 10 seconds. I might have done it if I had 20 seconds. I was honestly worried about fat thumbing it and misclicking. Najee Harris was the running back. He started to get interesting. The more you think about Jaylen Warren's injury, Najee, if you're talking about 7th round, getting interesting. Hey, guys, subscribe if you have not done so already, and I will update the live counter that's on the screen the moment you do, because I'm checking that live. So help me out. Let's get us to 900. Don't take us back to 800. So Addison here is compelling. Hollywood would be if I didn't have Rice already. Brian Thomas again. Jackson Smith and Jigba is another one. I would have taken Najee Harris, I think, just to lock in the running back. But given where we are, like I said, I'll see you soon, Brock Bowers. Let's do it. I might be reaching there for sure, but I do think he's got upside. I want to believe that the rookie tight end can make some hay. And the other thing about it is, if my roster doesn't look like it's fully complete and ready by week 1, that's okay. I have names that I like. I have targets that are on my team. I got them at the positions that I thought I needed to get them at. I don't have anybody that I'm looking to trade. And Lord knows I'll end up making trades. But I don't have anybody that I'm like, oh, can you get this guy off my team? I have guys that I like and I'm excited to watch. So that's fun. I am going to need some more running back help. I can take off the tight end list now. Let's see where they draw this line. Couple of names below the line that I'm intrigued by. I'm going to end up getting a decent piece, I think. Could have gone Kyler Murray in the 7th. That was the one other thing that I was like, well, do I want to go quarterback? But we saw last time it works out just fine when I wait. So I decided to wait again. Taking a look. I'm still trying to pull up that screenshot for you guys of the tweet that I thought was funny. Here we go. Nobody will remember your salary, how busy you were, how many hours you worked. People will remember how high you were on Kyle Pitts in 2021. He scored 1 touchdown. How high you were on Kyle Pitts in 2022. He got outscored by Jordan Akins. How high you were, and then the show more was how high you were on him in 2023. And then it said, why were you still on Kyle Pitts in 2023? And I said, yeah, but I was right. It was the Falcons who were wrong. So true. Jonathan Brooks goes in the late 7th. I thought he might even make it back to me. So I was wrong about that. TP is having a nice draft. Addison Pickens feels like some pretty good value in round 6 and 7 for a team that needed it. Trev needed some wide receiver help, and he got it. Let's see. Ferguson goes. Quay still needs a tight end. And Team 1 still needs a tight end. Kyler goes with the 8th round pick number 8.3. Yeah, I would have taken him in the 8th if he had fallen back to me, but I wasn't at a point where I needed it necessarily, so we're good. We're clean on that. 894, we can update the live subscriber count. Thank you for whoever did that. Love being able to update. Love it. Nick Chubb. I don't find myself drafting much Nick Chubb. Doesn't mean I'm right. I thought I would. Like once I was like June, July, I really started getting into it. I thought I would. The Roll FF said, is this a quarter point per carry? Running backs are going quick. No, it's PPR, man. Full PPR. Like, again, I've got one running back, so don't look at me. I was a little bit surprised to see Brooks go as early as he did, but then you look at TP and what he's trying to do. It makes sense for the way he's building. He and I build rosters very similarly. I asked some people earlier, what do you guys read? What do you look at as far as fantasy content? Keep dropping that info if you've got it. Flock Fantasy, Underdog Drafts, good to see where wide receivers should be going in terms of the order. Underdog Drafts can be stressful. Big Daddy said he likes the Ballers. Man, I used to listen to the Ballers religiously. Those guys are really entertaining. Not because like I have to listen to everything they say, but just it was like just a daily routine. As I'm making, I would spend sometimes, and this was like several years since I've been able to sit down quite to this level, but I would be sitting down and making trades or like plotting out trades with my league, and I just get so excited about fantasy on like a Wednesday morning that I would be like, I just want something on in the background that I'm listening to. And a lot of times I would be listening to those guys. Big Daddy, I don't know what you deleted. Put it back. All right, let's check out my team. I got to make a pick. There's still great value at wide receiver. Tremendous value. I would have taken Javonte, but you didn't let me. So because you didn't, I have no choice but to take another wide receiver. It's going to be Brian Thomas. All right, so now I've completed the prophecy. I've got a 6-pack. That's what I need. I don't stop drafting aggressively at wide receiver until I get to 6. Amon-Ra, Neighbors, Zay Flowers, Rashee Rice, Jaden Reed, Brian Thomas. I grabbed a piece of that Packer offense. happens to be my favorite piece of that Packer passing offense. And he does tend to be the most expensive one, but I think he's also going to be probably the best one. Someone else takes J-Mo so that I don't feel sad when I don't get to. But I do have Brian Thomas, I think, a little bit above J-Mo. When push comes to shove, I like J-Mo more. But I also think that Brian Thomas as a rookie, that's the savvier pick. But J-Mo can't be somebody that I end up not having shares of just because I'm too worried about what the savvier pick is. I have to adjust that strategy a little bit as we get closer, I think, to recognize that, like, I just am going to have to make sure I get my guys. Okay, I've got 6 wide receivers. I really do need to be looking running back at this point. So do I go Jaylen Warren, knowing he's a little banged up? Do I scroll down for Chase Brown or Blake Corum, knowing that Corum probably is not going to be the RB2 that I need? Chase Brown very well could be, but I also could be following the steam. I just don't buy Zach Moss. I think Chase Brown's better. But if the Bengals coaching staff doesn't agree with me, I am going to be on the wrong side of this Bengals running back thing if I don't take Zach Moss here. It would be very simple if Jaylen Warren were just healthy. I would just take him. But not sure if he's going to play week 1. Najee's going to probably have the leg up on him. Tyjae Spears might be just the answer, but I also think I'm believing in a bounce back for Tony Pollard. So I am going to scroll all the way down and take Chase Brown because I don't think he was getting back to me at the 10.9. Not in this draft room. He went like in the early to mid 9th, I think, last time. So too many of you guys are kind of in on him as well. So that makes it an easy call for me there. Not easy, because I could have also done a couple of different things with running back. Could have gone quarterback. Dak goes off. See, Dak goes in the 9th round here. I took him in the 12th last time. Yeah, don't ever let me do that again. That was too good. I like Chase Brown, though. I do. I don't like the steam. I don't like the fact that he's getting all that more expensive. I won't draft him in the 8th. Like, I won't draft him above Javonte. But after him, considering the Warren injury, I think he might be my next RB on the board. And I just am not a Zach Moss fan. I'd rather draft Zach Moss in like a best ball where I don't have to think about him being on my team. But I should like him. Like, he can catch passes for PPR. So Ryan says I would have taken Brown 1 ahead of me. Yeah, I knew for sure he wasn't getting back to me. I couldn't remember who had taken him in the last draft, but you can't just look at ADP on Sleeper. You can't just, you got to know that people are going to be on the guys, and if you want to get your guys, you got to go get them. So Chase Brown is my RB2. I like quite a bit, but what it could end up meaning, and I'm okay with talking through all sorts of strategy with you guys here. What it could end up meaning is if I make that decision, I'm susceptible to not getting the quarterback I want, because round 9 would be where you could take your shot on whether it's Love or Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels. You might need to do that by round 9 in a real draft. I'm just talking openly about it now because we're all trying to get better. So if somebody takes him for me here, I'm not going to worry about it. It's a mock. But when I'm really going in that round 9 decision, I'm like, all right, if I want the upside of one of these quarterbacks, am I going to put my money where my mouth is? Do I really trust Trevor Lawrence can be just as good as Jordan Love or Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels? I probably don't, but I needed an RB2 in that situation. You have to know the rats you're drafting with. Ryan couldn't have said it better myself. Ryan says, I hate the Patriots everything this year. Would rather start myself this year as RB2. Higher on Zeus White. I am not high on Zamir White. I am okay with Ramondre simply because he will get volume and he catches passes, and he's going in like the 7th. Where'd he go in this draft? Yeah, he went in the back of the 7th. Him or Pollard at that cost, I need to be willing to be able to take a running back at that point. Normally I'm not, though, because I'm still attacking wide receiver, or I'm taking Brock Bowers, or I'm taking Kittle, taking Jake Ferguson. Like, that's the problem, is I'm normally not in a position yet to take RB at round 7. And Brooks, Stevenson, Pollard, I'm cool with. I just want him to be closer to where Javonte is going. I want people to take Singletary and Chubb and Zamir White earlier. So, that's just part of the deal. If you guys are still watching and haven't subscribed, please do. But I think we've been at the same number of viewers for a little while now. Oh, we did actually gain a couple subs. What do you know? I have to update the counter. If y'all will excuse me. Come on now. Don't break a little boy's heart. I'm at 896. Don't make me go to bed without 900 subs. And then tomorrow it's 1,000. Tomorrow we ride toward 1,000. Even if I have to message everybody in my phone book. Idris says, thoughts on Caleb Williams? Worth taking at 6-7 turn or wait till the 8-9? It depends who you're drafting with, Idris, because, could he be worth the 6-7 turn? Absolutely. But, right now I'm in the 10th round against a pretty competitive draft room, I'd like to think, and Caleb Williams is still on the board. And I also need a quarterback. Could Colton, Jared, or Caden take Caleb Williams here? They could, but they all have quarterbacks, so I'm still going to delay the quarterback decision. I'm not going to take Zach Moss, even though I am objectively telling you he is a value at this point. Sometimes you got to take your medicine. Zach Moss is right now the medicine that I am refusing to take. I should do it. But I also have to figure out who I actually am going to take. I've still only got 2 running backs, so I need to be willing to take a third. But Zach Moss is the one that makes the most sense. I might just do it. I know Moss's ceiling. Yeah, I don't want to take Zach Moss. I don't want Jacoby Myers either, though. But I think I don't want Zach Moss. It's fine. I didn't need a wide receiver. I should have just taken the quarterback, but frankly, I wanted to see what other people were going to do. If I don't want to influence the room too much. Trev says his draft is going to be in Philly, so Hurts, Brown, Saquon go early. Yeah, I mean, you got to know your league. Shakir or Jacoby Myers? What do y'all think? Shakir or Myers? Palmer is right in that range. Lockett, I would have taken both of those over Jacoby. See, I got to start thinking about Dobbins. Dobbins and Chubb are kind of in the same category to me. Where I liked him in June, and then the more we're around it, I'm thinking Dobbins could be out of the league if he's not healthy. But if he's healthy, you're right. He probably is their best running back. So I got to start to think about if I'm really going to commit to the bit here on zero RB stuff or hero RB, I have to be ready for Chase Brown to be gone there and for me to go, okay, I need to dive in on the Dobbinses of the world. Dobbinses is how the hobbits would talk. Hobbitses? Who's that guy? Gollum? Yeah, he would call them the Dobbinses. For sure he would do that. Yep, that's a good point, Big Daddy. And that was a situation where in a real draft, I'm not panicking like I did on Jacoby Myers. But he said, take the QB situation, Shakir versus Myers, go with the better QB, which would be Shakir. And that's probably what I meant to do, but I just panicked because I spent too much time talking. Good news, Shakir's still here. Bad news, I'm not going to take him. How many people have a quarterback? Who needs one? TP needs one. So he could have Caleb Williams or I could have him. That is the decision. In a real draft, I'm just going to be honest with you. In a real draft, I would take a quarterback. In this draft, I'm going to make sure I get Jalen Wright handcuffed because I've set myself up to where I only have 2 running backs. And if I lose Devon Achane, I have nothing. So I'll grab Jalen Wright. I want to see who TP wanted a quarterback. And then I want to see if anybody else takes a quarterback. Wouldn't really make sense for most teams to take one, but it didn't make sense for me to take Jalen Wright when I did either. So, to each their own. But there are legitimately still several quarterbacks out there that are more than fine. So, yep, I grabbed Jalen Wright because I'm just anticipating that he'll be gone. It's not a great value in the 11th. I'd rather have him in the 12th. But if I'm getting Achane, especially if I only have 2 running backs. if I had taken Jerome Ford or Eckler or Dobbins and I had a third running back, I feel a little better about it. But since I don't, it's kind of like you got to make sure you get your stuff protected. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. We are 4 away from 900. All right, so TP likes Jaden Daniels over Caleb. I famously, not that famously, but had said on the radio pre-NFL draft, I'm like, I like Jaden Daniels better than Caleb. I don't think that's right. Caleb had to go number one. But Jaden Daniels, I was at that LSU-Mizzou game, all right? I was sitting with LSU fans. I know Jaden Daniels is great. For fantasy, I think I do prefer Jaden Daniels as well, but it's one of those where it's like, do I want to be, am I doing it just to be like creative, or do I really believe it, you know? People sleeping on Will Levis. Yeah, I mean, Will Levis could be more than fine. The Titans have given him weapons this year. I like how you said pin this tweet. it's a sleeper comment section. What's so funny is what's going to happen is all these people we mock draft with, we're going to end up doing a real league. And that's going to make me mad because I have too many leagues for drafts that have not been scheduled. By the way, I do still probably have a couple of spots open in some leagues. Send those requests via DM on Twitter, though, because I still got to sort through a couple of different things. Quay, you big meanie. You already had Richardson. You didn't need him. You didn't need Caleb. You big jerk. That's okay. I will grab Trevor Lawrence or Kirk Cousins just to spite the league because Kirk Cousins is good. I like him. And he released his summer playlist, I think, today on Twitter, or somebody did on his behalf. And it was a lot of bangers on that playlist. What do you think about Jared Goff this year? Like, I know that he's going to be 14th, 15th, 16th in terms of quarterback ranking. He's another one of those that if it's a 4-point pass TD league, I'm less interested. But he plays a lot of games indoors this year, and that's kind of his whole thing. I'm trying to send my Twitter handle bschaefer12. It's literally my sleeper handle. I'm bschaefer12 everywhere. Richardson is injury prone. Caleb is the backup plan. That's fair. That's fine. Look, I went Jaden Daniels and Dak in the last mock. So, granted, it was in the 12th round that I took Dak, but it was the 12th round you took Caleb, so I can't hate. I'm really going to go and not have a friggin' quarterback. I'm going to take Braylon Allen here just because I'm mad that somebody sniped him from me when I took Breece Hall in the last mock, so I'll pretend like it's a good pick. Yeah, Goff has a lot of weapons. A lot. Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, and Jahmyr Gibbs, not necessarily in that order, is crazy. And the fact that he doesn't have to play very many outdoor games, he should be fine. He used to be that you would be like, oh, he's bad on the road. Can't trust him on the road. But, like, maybe it's just the dome thing. And a lot of their road games this year are indoors. I might just take Goff here at the end of this draft. I'm in some 14-team, 16-team leagues. I got to recognize that maybe don't be afraid of just taking Jared Goff, especially if I do have Amon-Ra on this team. I kind of forgot. It's been a long time since round one. Yeah, just send the DMs on Twitter, guys, if you're talking about wanting more leagues. Adiris says that his league mates know, big on Caleb Williams, may use that against me. They like the Zach Moss pick. Yeah, I couldn't make the Zach Moss pick, but I definitely should have. It's all good. Theo Johnson goes at the end. All right. My buddy Trevor will love that pick from you. Braylon Allen I do kind of like, though. I like Ray Davis better, but I took Braylon Allen again to make up for the last mock in which I didn't get to take him. Is there any quarterback that I want more than Goff at this point? Probably not. Not if I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. As long as Caden doesn't decide to be mean. Because I've announced my pick now. Thank you for taking Troy Franklin. Jared Goff it is, baby. I'm not afraid. I am sort of like a quasi-Lions fan, too. That NFC Championship game hurt my soul and my wallet. I was set to win big. I was just basking in the glow at halftime. And then the very first thing that went wrong, I don't even know. Like, it happened like right before half. There was something where they didn't capitalize. Whatever it was, you could feel the tides begin to turn. And I knew early that it was early in that second half. I was like, this isn't going to go the way that you think it is. And that sucked. But anyway, they'll be back this year. 3 subs. All right, we're almost done with this. It'll be our last mock of the night because I do got to start to cut all this up and then get a posting schedule down for everything. 3 more? Can we get 3 more subscriptions before we get out of here to get to 900? I've already made my last pick, so I'm just chilling at this point. I will read the chat one more time, make sure I'm missing nothing. Theo Johnson has the 3rd fastest 40-yard dash in combine history by a tight end. Big Daddy has a strong roster if we're picking rosters that we wouldn't want to play against. Let's take a look at these rosters at the end of this thing. So, I mean, and look, that's relatively similar to how I put it together last mock. I went, who did I have? I had Brees and Barkley, which I think is a little better than JT and Barkley. Metcalf, Moore, Ridley, Judy. I don't love his depth at wide receiver. I love the start of Metcalf and DJ Moore. I like Kyle Pitts. I love the Kyler pick. Ended up being a great value. That's what you get when you're on the opposite side of the draft board from me, because I didn't have a chance to take Kyler early 8th or late 7th. I had to go Bowers. TP, honestly, I look at TP's draft and I really like what he did. Bijan, that's the hero build. I don't love Adams, but I understand, like, it's just the notion of the positional. Like, I would have gone Drake London there instead of Adams. Or, yeah, that's probably the name. But Adams could, I mean, he's Devontae Adams, so I could very well just be wrong. But you go Adams, Kupp, Tank Dell, Adunze, Smith and Jigba, Wicks, all targets of mine, all guys that I'd be happy to have. TP99, tell me the truth. Send me on Twitter. Send me a DM. Tell me who do you read? Who do you read that we have a lot of the same targets? I'll show you mine if you show me yours. But then he went Jaden Daniels and then did exactly what I did last round. Handcuffed it with a safer pass-first quarterback like Herbert. Mine was Dak. Running back, you have Bijan to anchor the thing. Jonathan Brooks is your RB2, and he's probably a top 20 RB, top 15 maybe, when he gets back healthy, week 6 or so. But for the time being, he'll have to go with Corum and Chuba Hubbard. He needs another running back. That's the one thing that I would say. Rather than a Herbert, I would have grabbed just a rando at the end for RB. Maybe like a Bucky Irving. He didn't get drafted. But I love the vision there from TP99. Let's see how Quay did, because I was making fun of him for starting all wide receiver. Monty, Pollard, Benson, Dowdle is a great 0 RB running back room. He has Richardson and Caleb Williams, which gives him a little bit of trade leverage. And like Kmet, I don't love. I was seeing that he was getting out-snapped by Gerald Everett. Don't love that when the starters were in play. But in the 10th round, Kmet's a fine value. If I were Quay, I would have taken. I would like. It's always easier to say in retrospect, but you could have maybe had Hawkinson and then just punted tight end and grabbed somebody off of waivers for the first few weeks. But Kmet's, I like Kmet where you drafted him, so I can't argue with that. Let's check in on Ryan, because he builds like I like to build. Chase London Waddle is legit. That's absolutely sick from where he drafted. Andrews, so he locked in a potential tight end 1. Like any of those guys in that range could go tight end 1 on the season. James Cook is a really fun one to have, because it doesn't even feel 0 RB. It's like you drafted a guy who could be a top 5 or 7 running back. And you drafted him as like the 10th or 11th or 12th running back off the board. Love that. Javonte, love him as an RB2 where you took him. Spears and Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson, not sexy for PPR, but I see the vision. Definitely have seen some good insight on him potentially being pretty relevant for that team. So, and then he did go the route of Hawkinson just as throw him on IR. And then he goes Pearsall, Roman Wilson late, which I like. Just draft rookie wide receivers at the end. Why not? Because he only took 4 wide receivers, but he took them early, got a great value on Christian Kirk, and then ended up, just saying, I got to fill out these other spots. But then at the end said, yeah, okay, I need more wide receiver help. Let's take a couple of dart throws, which is great. I do like my team, for the record. Nobody says that they don't want to play against me, but I like my team. Trev, drafted well for sure. I wouldn't have gone 3 RB before I drafted a second receiver, but A.J. Brown, and then you went Pickens Addison to be able to bring it back. So you had still some pretty good wide receiver top-end talent, I think. Your top 3 is pretty solid there. And Shaheed can be a good flex number 2 when pressed. And yeah, this running back room is going to be tough to deal with. The Breece Hall ETN room is tough to deal with. The JT Barkley room is tough to deal with. I see the vision from Cap and Keller as well. There's some interesting teams out here. I don't think any of these teams are bad, though. That's the thing. Like, I think this would be a competitive league if this was a league. You know? A lot of fun stuff going on. But yeah, with Achane and Chase Brown, I feel like I'm not trying to have more running backs than that on my roster because running backs just get hurt. So I got that. I drafted 2 rookies at the end that hopefully will end up being fine. I obviously punted completely on quarterback, but I talked about why that's fine. I stacked them with Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra, Neighbors, Flowers, Rice, Reed, Thomas, and Jacoby Myers feels like a legit running back room. The wide receiver that was drafted after my Myers pick that I wish I had taken instead is maybe Shakir. Would have been Wicks if I had not drafted another Packer already. So I guess I can't hate that pick too much because there's not too many guys that I'm just like, oh, I can't believe I missed out on so-and-so. If Tyler Lockett had fallen there, then I'd really be cooking. All right, guys, we had a lot of fun. We strummed for almost 2 hours. Trevor wants my thoughts on Team 9. Yeah, which I did. I ended up talking about Trevor's team without even seeing his comment. So, yeah. My Twitter is @BSchaefer12. Everything is @BSchaefer12, except for this YouTube channel, which is BSchaeferFFB. But my Cardinals, my other YouTube, you can follow that too if you're a baseball fan. YouTube.com/@BSchaefer12 is the other one there. Yep, find me on Twitter too, and then you can bug me about joining the next mock or joining a real league. They are money leagues, but I'm sure a lot of people that are spending their time on a Monday night drafting fantasy mock drafts don't mind a money league. It looks like we're going to miss our goal of getting to 900 before the end of the stream, but 898 is not too bad. Not too bad. So we are going to wrap things up here. Appreciate you guys, as always. No simps in the chat, brosif. I don't know what that means, Free Dobby. Nobody's simping. He wants, Adiris wants my thoughts on Kamara versus Mixon versus James Conner. Kamara of the 3, my answer, though, is I don't take any of them. I consider that to be the RB dead zone. It's not. I understand those guys are all starting running backs, but I just don't think they're going to be efficient. Kamara can be because of PPR, but the others I'm just not interested in. But that's just because of the way I'm attacking wide receiver in those same rounds. All right, we have exhausted our stream. We have outstayed our welcome. I have accidentally closed out the draft board anyway, so apologies for that. Thank you, guys. Subscribe before you get out of here. Try to get me to 900, so I'll at least feel like that happened. But that'll do it for this stream. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you again probably tomorrow. Peace.